Okay, everybody, this is the four bases of power retreat with Ajahn Don and I. In some ways, it'll be a continuation of the retreat that we did in January. We got into the introductory material and teachings on Dhammakaya meditation, but this retreat, this 3-day retreat, will in some ways be more advanced. So in this one, we'll be discussing the stages of concentration, the progression of the Nimittas, the inner bodies. Don's gonna explain some of the Baran teachings, so the Baran Kamatana teachings, so the actual source materials that the Dhammakaya teachings come from, with Luang Pu Sod's teachings directly, and I'll be sharing some Baran texts as well. But yeah, this will be a more immersive retreat. So there's definitely more sitting time. And oh, Don, welcome, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here and to be doing a second retreat. And welcome, everybody. It's so good to see you all.
Yeah, it's good to have the troopers and the serious students back. So yeah, so for this opening part, pretty much the thing to go over, or that we can briefly go over, is the schedule. So, if everyone wants, um, you can open up the schedule. It's pretty self-explanatory, but we can just visit it for a moment. So tonight, for example, I'll do this intro, and then Don will open up with the first discussion, the first talk of the retreat, and then there'll be a sitting period, all the way into the evening, and until we end. So the first night tonight, you could see this as mm, the landing pad, like with this next 2 or 3 hour sit, or for the rest of your evening. Really see it as a way to, in Tibetan Buddhism, they call it opening the mandala. So you're opening and you're entering the dimension of the retreat. So you could see this first night as that. The meat of the retreat is really the weekend, when Don and I will discuss different aspects of Baran, Nimittas, levels of concentration, and and of course the four bases of power. But see tonight as really your transitional phase, or your transitional state into the retreat. So if you haven't, in the week leading up to this, then you can use our talk here and then the next 2, 3 hours to begin to cycle the mantra and really get into this meditative zone, if possible. During this next 72-hour period, keep your distractions limited. So anything that you don't need to do with your mind, I wouldn't do. Anything that's normal habituation, for you, normal routine as far as thinking and behavior, if you're able to de-automatize that and not engage it, I highly recommend that. So, and if it's possible for you to be silent, or more silent than you usually are, that'll help you um, absorb the teachings and also make the most use of your time. So from this moment now all the way to the end of the retreat, You want to be in mindfulness, in presence, in awareness. Relax, of course. You're not, uh, I wouldn't say use a bunch of force, but uh, it's important to remember always that retreat time is rare. You know, we don't always have a whole weekend that we set aside for Dharma or that we set aside for meditation. So when we have set aside the time, we make the most and the best use of it. Because it's one thing to set aside the time and then show up, but it's another to actually set aside the time and then really immerse yourself um, with mindfulness and with awareness to the best that you can in each moment, and put aside whatever else it is that you usually think about and that you usually entertain with your mind. Yeah. So I'm going to screen share briefly. Doo, doo, doo. Okay, so like I said, for today, it's a bit of me and a bit of Don, and then Don does the guided meditation, and then it'll just be a long a long sitting period. Uh, tomorrow, tomorrow I'll open the Zoom at 8. Yeah, at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So the room will be open at 8, so you can meditate at that time, but um, I won't come on, or you won't see my face till 9. And then from there we'll start with the first discussion of Saturday, and I'll be sharing a Baran script, and we'll begin to get into the first base of spiritual power. And Don and I will both be talking on each of the bases, but one of us will have the majority of the time on that base, depending on who's speaking. So yeah, and it'll be similar to last time in the sense that I would ask Don questions, so it'll be like that to get uh, more juice out of that particular subject. So the sitting meditation after the first talk, 2 hours. So I'll guide for the first 10, 15 minutes or so, and then I'll guide for the last 15 minutes of the loving kindness, and they'll pretty much be the format for all of the long sits. For lunch you have an hour, and um, I know in some cases an hour an hour may not be enough time. So if you want to prepare some of your lunch in advance, or at least have things set so you don't have to be in a rush for that hour, then by all means do that. And then we have another 2 hour sit. So this retreat is a lot of sitting. Yeah, like last time. Dawn does her talk on the second base of power and the things that she wanted to share, and then we'll have Q&A. So what similar to our last retreat, there was at the end of the day of teaching, people could just share their experiences and talk about where they are in their practice. That's what that will be. So if there's a lot of discussion and back and forth, the whole hour's for it. But if there's not, then of course we could just meditate or end early. Personal meditation time after, so that means the Zoom will be open, and you can sit either in the Zoom or not. It's up to you. And Sunday is a similar format, but with the specific topics, and yeah, the meal times are the same, and all of that. So Sunday we'll close at the same time, which is 5 p.m. And that's that. Yeah. Yeah, so this particular, our next 2 days here, it's like on one hand we have the subject of going deeper into the Nimittas and deeper into what happens when you do this meditation. That's really what it is. If you visualize this thing inside of your body, what happens? What happens next? Uh, what is possible through that? The One of the distinguishing qualities of this kind of meditation is that, and I think we did touch on this previously in the last retreat, was that there's an emphasis on the nimittas being placed inside the body. So the nimitta is a sign, or it's an object that arises in the mind. To put it briefly, there's 3 stages of a nimitta. So the first nimitta is called the preparatory sign. So this is the meditation object that you're generating with your consciousness. You're fabricating it. So you're imagining a crystal sphere, or you're imagining a star, or whatever your meditation object is. You bring your mind back to it, your mind wanders, you bring your mind back to it. Your mind's wandering a lot at this stage. When the concentration or your unification of mind progresses to the next stage, that meditation object, that nimitta, turns into something called the learning sign. So now it's an unfabricated meditation object, an unfabricated visual object that is in the mind's eye. You don't have to create it anymore. You don't have to fabricate it anymore. It's self-sustaining. So because it's self-sustaining, it acts as a it acts more so better, it acts much more efficiently as something that your mind becomes absorbed in. The learning sign gives rise to the very refined nimitta called the counterpart sign. And this corresponds to the level of concentration where you are entering a jhana, or you're entering deep absorption. So at that point, the mind starts to become very bright, and the unification is very deep, and the mind wandering is significantly less, or it's not happening at all. So this progression through the nimittas, this exists in all forms of Theravada Buddhism, but what's unique about the Dhammakaya tradition and about the Baran teachings, which this tradition emerged from, is that the nimitta is placed inside the body as opposed to outside the body. And that does generate, it leads to a different kind of progression and a different kind of insight. And what that insight entails is what Don is going to be explaining in more detail, over the next 3 days. So, all right, Don, I think that was a good intro on my end,
Yeah.
and you can take it from here. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I appreciate that explanation of nimittas. And that's going to set the foundation for my talk tonight, which is the luminous mind, because we first have the nimittas, and after the counterpart sign nimitta, a person can actually experience their radiant mind. But I'll introduce this and it will unfold. So this evening, we're going to be exploring the Thai-style Dhammakaya meditation developed by the late Long Pusod. So aspects, like Ryan said, are derived from Baran Kamatana, an esoteric meditation tradition, which means the old style of meditation of Southeast Asia. So although I'll be teaching Buddhist meditation, This is a universal practice which transcends religion and culture. The meditation is suitable for people from all walks of life. Buddhism is not interested in converting people. The teachings can be incorporated into your Christian faith, your Jewish faith, your Muslim faith. Whether you are agnostic or atheist, you can still benefit from these teachings. Buddhism has a spirit of self-inquiry. The Buddha said in the Kalama Sutta, "Don't believe anything I say, but rather apply the teachings in your meditation and in your life." The Buddha said, "Ehipassiko," which means go see for yourself whether what I'm saying is true. Don't have blind faith, but apply the teachings and know for yourself. Now, in the Pali Canon, before the Buddha decided to teach, he reflected and said, "This Dhamma," meaning this spiritual liberation, "attained by me is deep, hard to see, hard to comprehend. It's serene, subtle, beyond analytical thinking and reasoning, and it's accessible only to the wise." The Buddha goes on to say, "What I preach Dhamma, some will not understand." So this revelation was after the Buddha's enlightenment and prior to his first sermon. The problem is that we don't see things as they are or in accordance with reality or truth, and that's why we suffer due to ignorance. The Buddha taught the remedy to this through the development and liberation of consciousness. So in meditation, you learn to access a deeper, more subtle and sublime aspect of yourself. Reality and truth of our existence is not what we think it is. Our thinking, our five senses, and brain capacity are suboptimal for seeing the Buddha's wisdom known as Vijja Dhammakaya. This human body, the Buddha says, has senses. We have our usual five senses of sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. And the Buddha taught that there is a sixth sense, which is the mind. And when we develop our mind, it has the potential to perceive reality outside of the five senses. This is expanding our consciousness or experiencing higher consciousness. Spiritual wisdom transcends the five senses, and we dive deep into the mind, to the core of consciousness, which gets experienced, developed, and leads to liberation. Now, Dhammakaya meditation, developed by the late Longpu Sot, he says that all human beings have the potential to become fully awakened, thereby experiencing the Buddha's consciousness and liberated mind. When the mind is truly free of all the mental afflictions, known as klesas, the three core afflictions are greed, hatred, and delusion. There are many more, but they all stem from these three core afflictions. When the mind is free, it becomes Dhammakaya, which is the Buddha's enlightened mind. Dhammakaya not only refers to the results, realizations, and the wisdom attained by the Buddha, but also to the nature of mind itself, the holder of wisdom. This underlying nature gradually gets developed and revealed in your meditation as very radiant. At a deeper level of practice, your mind or consciousness can eventually be seen with the mind's eye, not the physical eyes, and seen in your meditation. When this happens, your mind is perceived as a round sphere of light. The mind is clearly luminous, bright and shiny, blissful, endowed with deep inner peace. The bright sphere of light is not material. It's not a mental object or a nimitta. It's your consciousness. And when the mind first appears to the meditator as radiant, it means that the mental afflictions are at bay. They're dormant. They're not permanently removed at this stage. We are not yet experiencing the unconditioned. Rather, you are having a glimpse. And seeing the radiant mind is a profound state of mental unity, clarity, and inner peace just before jhana. So seeing your mind is required for wisdom to develop. It's only the radiant mind that can go on to realize the Dhamma as taught by the Buddha. Vipassana or insight practice starts after you experience your radiant mind. In this method, not before. The mind isn't ready before this. However, you can practice discernment before seeing your radiant mind. Discernment is called sampajanya in Pali, which means clear comprehension. It's a contemplation practice, and you practice discernment outside of formal sitting meditation because we don't recommend during meditation. You can do this by contemplating the suttas, contemplating your own mind in daily life, seeing clearly how your mind creates suffering and releasing those habits. Thoughts need to settle down during meditation so you can experience a crystal-like clarity. This makes your discernment practice and insights more powerful and effective. So we have a focus on samatha first. This is what the mind looks like when it's settled. We have this clear, radiant, crystal clear mind because all the thoughts, moods, and emotions are the sand in the bottle and they've all settled down. So now we can see clearly the mind is operating with great clarity. However, the mind typically looks like this. So that's why we don't practice discernment at this stage, because how much can you see with an unsettled mind? The mind's not clear and operating with great clarity. So that's why we focus on samatha and allowing all the mental states to settle down so the mind becomes clear and radiant, and then we're ready for the insights. So seeing your radiant mind as a bright, clear sphere, Longpu Sot called this the Dhamma sphere. He gave it an important name. He says your consciousness is seen and experienced in your meditation as luminous, translucent, and very bright, like the sun or the moon. Seeing the Dhammasphere is the pathway to awakening. He says it's the path to the body of knowledge of the three worlds, namely the desire realm, which includes the Deva realm, and the form and formless realms. The different realms coincide with consciousness. So whatever level of development or underdevelopment your mind is at, this will match with the consciousness that makes up that realm. The different levels of higher consciousness that you can experience in your meditation manifest as the 18 inner bodies of enlightenment, as taught by Longpu Sot. The inner bodies are more and more subtle, purified, and refined states of mind, and this includes jhana. So you can think of a building with an elevator that takes you up to the higher floors. So during meditation, you can experience higher consciousness beyond ordinary consciousness of this human experience. The Dhammasphere is the pathway to experience Dhammakaya, the Buddha's consciousness, which is the 18th inner body of enlightenment, the last one. You meditate by resting your awareness at the center of your radiant mind so you can progress through jhana. Jhana are conditioned states. They have the three marks. They're impermanent, suffering, and not self. And during jhana, the meditator is seeing clearly with the mind's eye the conditioned aspects of jhana. This allows the meditator to move through these blissful and refined states of mind smoothly without getting hung up. The meditator must be firmly established as the knower of these states to move through the jhana levels successfully. So through a meditation process, we eventually experience what Longpu Sot called the inherent Dhamma body within. meaning we have reached the triple gem within us. The triple gem is the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. The Buddha meaning the awakened one, the Dhamma meaning the teachings of the awakened one, and the Sangha meaning the followers of the awakened one. Now compare this to another Thai meditation master, Ajahn Mun, one of the most revered Thai forest masters of the 20th century, from the late 1800s and until 1949. So he was a contemporary of Luang Pu Sot. Ajahn Mun describes the Buddhosphere. Now he gives it a different name, but he's describing the same thing. He says the Buddhosphere is our mind, our consciousness that is seen as bright, radiant glass sphere that leads to the knowledge of the three worlds. He describes it as very bright, brighter than 100 and 1,000 suns. However, Ajahn Mun says the actual sun cannot illuminate these other realms, but the Buddhosphere, this bright, radiant glass sphere, can illuminate all. He says Buddho is the splendid treasure of the Buddha and is a very bright body of knowledge. It's not material, it's not a nimitta, it's not a mental object. The Buddhosphere is the treasure of the Buddha found within the body, which enables a meditator to enter a pathway to wisdom and liberation. I want to reference Ajahn Chuk. He's a Thai Buddhist scholar from Chulalongkorn University, and he made this one part of the translation of Ajahn Mun's bio from Thai to English that had been omitted and left out in the original English translation. This translation is very important because it's a comparison between the two most famous accomplished meditation masters of Thailand's recent history. The Dhammasphere by Luang Pu Sot and the Buddhosphere by Ajahn Mun are both described as your radiant mind that can be seen in your meditation. Whichever one you want to call it, it's an important level where the mind's true nature gets revealed to the meditator. These two meditation masters did not go on to teach the same exact meditation method, but they certainly have similarities. They both use a mantra. Luang Pu Sot uses Sama Arahang mantra, and Ajahn Mun uses the mantra Buddho. These two masters both use the breath, Anapanasati. And Luang Pu Sot teaches awareness of the breath at the center of your body. And lastly, Luang Pu Sot utilizes a visualization of a light sphere or a light kasina. And I'm not aware that Ajahn Mun utilized a visualization for beginners in meditation, but they both mention this important universal experience of seeing your luminous mind. So seeing a radiant sphere of light is the result of meditation. It's not the method to get there. The method is mantra, breath, imagining a light sphere, and those are preliminary practices, just like a vehicle that takes you to your destination. Let's not confuse the vehicle with the destination. The vehicle is the imagined image, and the destination is the light sphere arising in the mind naturally, first as a nimitta, and then your radiant mind, and so on through the inner bodies. Now, in the Pali Canon, when the radiant and luminous mind is mentioned, this is what the scriptures are referring to, and it's validated by the top Thai meditation masters. And it's important to refer to highly attained masters to know what's what in our practice. So everything up until this point is a preliminary practice. Meditating with your radiant mind is the main practice, which can produce liberating results. Our consciousness is a round sphere, clear like a diamond, very radiant. is responsible for making a human being. In the Kevata Sutta of the Digha Nikaya, it says that consciousness appears infinite, luminous, and round, where there's no form. Now, this means that the consciousness can appear to the meditator in the mind's eye as a round ball of light, but also with a form as an energy body or an astral body. So you have a spherical consciousness and an energy body and a physical body. So as your consciousness gets purified, so does your energy body. Hence, we have the 18 inner bodies of enlightenment that can be seen in your meditation with the mind's eye. Now, Long Pu Sot refers to this direct experience of luminous mind as the means to liberation. In other words, not only is luminosity taken onto the path in this tradition, but it's the basis for liberation. The one can eventually reach path, which starts with stream enterer. So it's important to note that just prior to path, one can see with the mind's eye a luminous Dhammakaya Buddha image. So, which is a vision of Dhammakaya appearing as bright, translucent, and a crystal-like Buddha image, which is not material, it's not a mental object or a nimitta. Now, seeing a Buddha image in your mind's eye represents a change in lineage from conditioned reality to the potential for experiencing the unconditioned, and then on to the 4 stages of awakening, which are stream enterer, once returner, non-returner, and arahat. So the commentaries interpret this stage in meditation, and it reads a single mind moment that makes the transition from the peak of insight to the world transcending path. Now, this stage of meditation happens when you see the Dhammakaya Buddha image in your meditation. And I want to show you that it looks like this. This style of the statue was created during the life of Long Pu So. And this came from his meditation. So there's a transformative process taking place the whole time during meditation, known as building a Buddha body inside. So this terminology comes from the Theravada esoteric tradition, Baran Kamatana. This practice entails purifying negative states of mind, namely greed, hatred, and delusion, and replacing the negative states with beautiful, transformative, and positive states of mind, such as generosity, mindfulness, tranquility, contentment, crystal-like clarity, compassion, patience, bliss, wisdom, and so on. Building a Buddha body inside happens during formal sitting meditation, but it's also done informally in daily life. For example, if you're driving and somebody cuts you off and they glare at you, you might feel a knee-jerk reaction of negativity or annoyance, but you actively decide not to feed that negativity, whether you rather replace it with loving kindness, patience, and compassion. The only person you're in control of is you, so don't let someone else have that kind of control over your state of mind. You take care of your mind like it's a precious and rare gem, because indeed it is. So these positive mental states need to be repeated many times until they eventually just show up on their own and the mind gets transformed in this way. So the practice of building a Buddha body inside coincides with ethics, known as sila in Pali. So the luminosity and brightness of your mind only happens when your mind is endowed with the beautiful and ethical states of mind, like a Buddha's mind. So the higher consciousness occurs when the egoic sense of self, the us versus them mentality falls away. So you can experience mental unity and deep peace. So as we talk about meditative experiences during the retreat, it's important to focus in the present moment on your practice and to let go of wanting or longing your meditation experience to be different. I know that people might want a preview to what is possible within the meditative experiences, and they want to know about the deeper states of meditation. And this can be beneficial information for you. But if it creates a longing for something that's not happening right now, then that's not the way to utilize this information. So it's very important to reflect on something that you liked about your meditation session every time you meditate. And you want to practice looking for development of your mind right where you're at and to reflect upon your successes, and you build from there. And so retreats offer an opportunity to sit for a longer period of time. This gives you ample time to learn to be with yourself in all the different physical, mental, and emotional states that arise during retreats. And eventually you transform your relationship to yourself as you are developing the factors of awakening and into the radiant mind experience. So that concludes my talk on Dhammakaya meditation. I was going to get into the method and the instruction on how to do the meditation and the visualization, but that kind of concludes the overview of Long Pu Sot's teachings and how they coincide with Ajahn Mun's teachings as well. So if anybody has any questions, we can just pause here for a moment before I get into the meditation instruction, and then we'll go right into the meditation. Yes, David.
Yeah, thanks, Don. Two questions. First, the nimitta, in contrast to the luminous mind, can you unpack the difference a bit more for me? And I mean, there's some things I might say about that depending on how you answer it. But first question, and then the second question, maybe it's relevant. The meditation object moving from external to internal. You're referring to anapanasati, the breath being external, where the focus of attention is on that gap just below the nose, outer, versus what you're saying, your teacher, the meditation object is, I want to get this straight. It's an image, it's an object, it's a, we talked about it yesterday a little bit. What's the object of concentration? And why is it relevant external versus internal?
So we're developing our awareness inside the body, at the center of the body, located 2 finger widths above the navel. It's going to unfold within the body. We don't want to bring the awareness outside of our body. Long Pu So discovered, and actually at that time he discovered this, there was a reform going on in Thai Buddhism, because a popular method was to focus outside the body, even like on a screen or 2 or 3 feet looking away from your body on a kasina.
Okay.
And so he discovered that we need to bring the awareness into our body at the center where we're going to develop it. And he also taught anapanasati, but the focus is at the center of the body. So you have a choice to meditate on your breath, or you can choose to visualize or imagine a bright, shiny object, such as a star, sun, full moon, radiant crystal ball, a pearl, some round object. Any round object will do.
And when you say, I'm just trying to get it clear, with the breath by the base of the nose, at least I have a sensible, sensorial, I can feel something. And the visualization to the center of my body, I don't know what I would be feeling there or what the experience would be. So I want to be really clear on this, like we talked about visualization. I can visualize the center of my body, but it seems performative to me because I don't, maybe I'm feeling something in there by putting my attention down into there. Do you understand what I'm asking? The Anapanasati seems easier for me to do just because I have a reference point. I can feel the breath, even if it's not localized exactly, but I can feel it. Center of my body, I can imagine maybe feeling stomach or abdomen. Is that what you're asking me to do when you say visualize and the object and the two finger widths above the navel? So just again, just imagining again there. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a shift from feeling, because you feel a lot of sensations here at your nostrils with the breath, to seeing with the mind's eye an image
Right.
at the center of your body. And you may be able to feel the breath passing through the center of your body. That's how Long Pu taught it, but it could be quite subtle. It just,
Okay.
you see.
Okay. So that helps. And then just the first question, the nimitta versus luminous mind. Can you unpack it seems like a difference. You said subtle. What's the difference?
It's brighter, clearer, and more defined and distinct, much more distinct from the nimittas. So the first is the preparatory sign, the imagined, and then that goes into the learning sign, the nimitta. That's not as clear. And then as you continue to meditate, you get the counterpart sign, which is bright and clear. But hold up, wait, you have to keep going. Place your mind at the center of that nimitta for the very bright, clear, radiant sphere, like blindingly bright, very clear.
Okay, so I got it. So the technique is when you start to maybe sense the nimitta, you want to make the object of concentration, that nimitta, the center of that nimitta, almost like a shamatha practice where the concentration is there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's called just resting the mind. So I have a feather. Maybe I've shown you that before. You place your mind right at the center. It's like just touch. It's like resting the mind so gently at the center, not forcing.
Okay.
It's just going to stop your mind there to
Okay.
develop the samadhi at the center of the nimitta and then the center of the luminous mind.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Ryan, would you like to say anything?
Yeah. Don, before you begin, I want to share a quote, a direct quote from Kunyai Ajan's biography on exactly on this point on uh, is it a nimitta, is it a real thing, and on the notion of force. So I'll screen share that right here. Let's begin first with Kunyai Ajan's face, actually, so all of you can see what she looks like. And then we'll go back down. So this is the founding nun of Wat Phra Dhammakaya. So Luang Pu Sut, the older Thai monk, he's the rediscoverer of this knowledge and this meditation. But his top disciple was her, and she's technically the founder um, of Dhammakaya Temple, which is a branch off from Wat Phra Nam. So uh, uh, basically a daughter temple of Wat Phra Nam, but it's its own foundation and own temple. So I'm going to briefly share her experience of progressing through the meditation and through the nimittas, stabilization of the nimitta and up to Dhammakaya. So this is pertinent. So To keep Kunyai's story short, she was the daughter of a farmer, and she was introduced by a lady that she was a maid for, who was a student of also one of the nuns at Wat Pak Nam, a student of Longpu, and her name was Kunyai Tongsuk. So Kunyai means grandmother, which is often a name attributed to an older nun. And so this was Kunyai's initial teacher, was this lady and nun Tongsuk. And so this was the advice that Tongsuk gave her. When she closed her eyes to meditate, she did so in earnest, cultivating concentration at the center of her body, determined to see the crystal ball for herself. Indeed, she meditated too seriously, and it quickly brought on a headache and feelings of dizziness. She was determined to find the central point of balance of the mind. This is important because when you hear the word shamatha and you hear the word concentration, you immediately think of fixing your mind on something with force. And that's often taught in Theravada Buddhism, to do it that way. But it doesn't work. Doesn't work for this particular method. The mind actually has to be light. So when Dawn was describing the feather of gentleness of attention, she's being literal. Like, if you use force with this method, because it's a visualization technique, it does cause a lot of tension. Yeah. She was determined to find the central point of balance of the mind. There was no remaining extraneous thoughts in her mind. She avoided the soft of effort that makes it uncomfortable to breathe, but her mind still did not reach a standstill. She could see nothing but darkness and meditation, and this went on for weeks without any glimpse of inner light. Upasika Tongsuk taught her always to keep her mind at peace with the visualization and the mantra. She said, "Don't worry if you're not an overnight success. Don't use force on your mind. Don't squeeze your eyes shut. Don't be afraid of seeing nothing. And if you do see something at the center of your body, don't get elated, or the newfound image will disappear again." So progressing from there, Chandra, which was Kunyai's name, tried again to find a peaceful mind through meditation. She put aside her thoughts of success and temporarily shelved the wish to find her father. This is related to one of her initial intentions as a meditation practitioner. Her father had passed away, and she wanted to be able to see where he was in the afterlife. This was one of the reasons she wanted to attain Dhammakaya. So the next part is here. Similarly, it is impossible to control the mind by force. By slow and careful application of the mantra, irrespective of whether we can see the crystal ball clearly or not, in the end, the mind will come to a standstill at its point of balance. It is only the coarse and foolish who habitually use force. That's as clear as it gets, right? Inner experience is a subtle thing, and Dhamma study needs a light and buoyant mind. In the meditation, the mind needs to be maintained gently at the center of the body, nothing more and nothing less. No preconceptions or anticipations. The center of the body, gentle application of the mind. No more knowledge than this is necessary to embark on successful meditation. So there's a quote, the most popular or the most known quote from Longpu in this tradition is, "Stop is the key to success." In Thai means yut. So stop is actually a bit different from still. Like, still is calm, it's quiet, but stop is like stop. Stop is the key to success in the sense that you stop, you abandon defilements, but that the mind enters the state of being stopped. And that only happens through this gentle application and this returning and this continuity and this letting go. Chandra practiced this step of the practiced further, but one obstacle still remained. Images of home and family would pop up. Sometimes other visions she didn't want to see. Tongsu's advice was take no interest in your imagination. Let the mind take its natural course of transformation and always keep the concentration at the center of the body. Maintain the concentration there with mindfulness. Entertain no other thought, entertain nothing else. Let the unwelcome visitors who come to call, like the unwelcome visitor who comes to call, if we pay him no attention, he will leave of his own accord. She applied subtle effort at the center of the body, whether the crystal ball was visible or not. Punyai resolved to spend her whole lifetime meditating if that was what was needed to find her father. The weeks of practice turned to months, and the months to years. The quest for success in meditation entered into her very soul. At first, she would just meditate in her free time, but long before she would meditate while working too. Eventually, after 2 years, she was able to reduce the number of thoughts in her mind, leaving her with a feeling of lightness and spaciousness inside. On one occasion, she perceived a tiny pinpoint of light inside herself, rather like a star in the sky. Deeper, at first she saw a bright crystal ball firmly established at the center of her body. It stayed with her even after her meditation was finished. She saw the image clearly whether her eyes were open or closed for 2 or 3 days. So this is the example of the maturation of the counterpart sign.
Mm.
Teacher told her to go through this form, like what Don had explained, to the angelic body, into the Brahma body, into the formless Brahma body. This she did, and inside the formless Brahma body, she could perceive the Dhammakaya Gotrabhu, which is the first, the level of Dhammakaya before the Dhammakaya's stream enters body, so the first stage of enlightenment. Allowing her to attain the Dhammakaya right there in the upstairs room of her mistress's house. So that's the lady that she worked for. And this is the final point, and I'll hand it back to Don. Even though I see only a little Dhamma, I have never known happiness like this before. Not for my weight in gold would I give away this Dhamma I have known to date. There is no other refuge for me anywhere except this Dhamma I have attained. Having attained the Dhammakaya, Chandra didn't rest, but meditated further until her mind became yet more stable and bright. Having attained Dhammakaya Gotrabhu, Chandra remembered her father. And then it progresses into the rest of the story. But yeah, I thought that would be useful for everybody. So
Thank you for sharing. That was really good. That really helps. I love to see the story of Kunyai. She was my teacher's teacher, and my teachers have such deep respect and gratitude. I remember I was talking to one of my teachers who's a meditation master. He was describing having such deep respect for Kunyai. He looked at me, he said, I want you to know that every time I would see her, I would bow deeply in my heart and mind for the teachings that she gave and for her own attainment. So she was just really beloved and a true meditation master. So yeah, so I want to go on to talk about the method. Maybe you could type in the mantra Sama Arahang. Does everybody know the spelling of that mantra? Usually it helps to see it spelled out if you're going to recite it in your meditation.
Don, is there a difference between Araham and Arahang? No, right? It's just a spelling difference.
The one with the M has a little dot underneath it, and that makes it pronounced Arahang. It's actually not. It looks like it should be pronounced with an M, but in Pali, with the little sign underneath, it's pronounced NG, Sama Arahang. Yeah, so that's how we say it. We hear the ringing in the center of our body. They're syllables, they're transformative. We are reciting the words of the highest state human beings can achieve. Arahant is what that means. So the mantra is to help you stay with your object of meditation. When your mind has left the object of meditation, you use the mantra to help bring it back and to center and settle your mind. Then you let go of the mantra, no need to continue. But if your mind then wanders away once again, which it likely will, and if you're unable to bring it back to your center and bring it to a standstill there, then you utilize the mantra. Sometimes you need to give your mind a little something extra to do in meditation to help you develop your samadhi. And that's what the Sama Arahang mantra is for. And if you'd like to use a visualization, so let's talk about visualization for a minute. So here's a crystal ball. And some people are visual learners. They actually see pictures in their mind. Some people are auditory learners. And some people are kinesthetic learners. They need to touch and feel something to learn. So if you think of the crystal ball that I just showed you, and if you were to close your eyes and imagine it, if you're a visual person, you might see a picture of it. If you are not a visual person, you may not see a picture of it. You can see it with the mind's eye. You can recall the color, the shape, but you're not seeing an actual picture. But you're imagining it. You can imagine something. You don't have to be a visual person to use this technique. Actually, I'm not a visual person. I'm an auditory learner. I listen to podcasts. I listen to audible books all the time. I learn from listening. So that's my primary way of learning. And so if I'm imagining, when I first did this technique, I wanted to use an image that was real for me, something that I had come across in my life. So during my childhood, my parents took me on many camping trips, and we used a Coleman lantern, and it has a round, very bright, luminous sphere that lights up the Coleman lantern when you're camping at nighttime. And I used to sit there as a little child and watch my father light it. And then he'd turn the thing to turn it up really bright, and I could hear it because you can hear the propane lantern. So as I was imagining that image for my meditation about the size this big, I can hear the sound of it. That is how I connected with that image. I can see it with the mind's eye. I can imagine it, and there was a sound associated with it. So my Thai friends on the retreat, they're like, "Can you see the image?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can see it and hear it." And they said, "You can hear it?" But connecting with the sound helped me to imagine it. And I could see it clearly with the mind's eye, not a picture. So if you think of something right now, your favorite place, and we go through this in the meditation, I have you imagine yourself at your favorite place in nature. And you close your eyes and you imagine yourself there. And you utilize your senses in imagining. What are the things you see in your favorite place? Noticing colors, noticing the color of the object you want to visualize, right? Noticing touch. If you touch this object, actually touching this object, it feels cool, it feels smooth. It's nice that way, the feeling of it. And the sound, well, there's no sound. So that's how you connect with it, using your senses and however you want to do that. So, and when I first used visualization, I wasn't sure about it. It was something very new to me. And what I experienced was that the image would change because my mind is jumping around. The first couple days of the retreat, I noticed that I would pick an image and then it would change. So it's like, oh, well, that's just the mind jumping around. And then I noticed that I could keep the image for longer without it moving, without it changing. And that's how I was developing it. because you can't force your mind. Your mind, you'll generate an image and then the mind moves from that image and then you bring it back. And if you use the breath, some people want to use the breath as a preference, and you can imagine the breath passing through the center of your body, right at that point, right where the two fingers intersect at the center of your stomach, the center of the abdomen, imagining the breath passing through the center of your body. I encourage you to try a visualization if you're comfortable. But the key is you can't, this is the biggest thing for Westerners, you cannot look with your eyes. You can't close your eyes and be like looking down, you're putting tension here because you're trying to see it. We're not seeing it with the physical eye. It's a memory in our mind. If I look at this crystal ball right now, and I take in the image and then I close my eyes, I'm recalling a memory, instant recall. I just saw the crystal ball with my physical eyes, and now I'm utilizing a memory to recall. I'm remembering now what it looks like. It's smooth, it's cool, it's shiny, it's this size, and just imagining it with the mind. Don't feel any tension with your eyes. If you do, then relax your eyes. Do like a little body scan around your eyes, releasing tension. And you rest your eyes as if you're falling asleep. If you're falling asleep, you're not pressing your eyelids together. You must release tension in your eyes and your eyelids before you fall asleep. I call it falling awake in meditation. And so the goal is to develop a sense of contentment and ease. It's a very preliminary practice where we imagine ourselves at our favorite place. And we do that because we're cultivating a sense of contentment and ease for all of our thoughts and emotions to unfold upon. So we're changing the context in which the thoughts and emotions arise in meditation, because there'll be some monkey mind. But we want to come with the right attitude and the right feeling. It's a mental and emotional feeling of contentment, but there's also a physiological state that matches that feeling, which is the relaxation response, where your heart rate slows down, the breathing rate becomes very subtle. You release tension in your body, and now you're ready. Now you're ready to meditate once you've relaxed your body and relaxed your state of mind and developed some sense of contentment and ease. Okay, now you're ready to begin meditation by placing your mind at your center and utilizing the mantra. And then we end with loving kindness every time. So any questions about the method, the technique before I start the guided?
Quick question. So the Anapanasati, the breath, doesn't require a visualization because you can just have an immediate experience of breath. What's the value in visualizing the crystal sphere over Anapanasati? What's the, other than Lac Pousseau, or however you say, that this is what he discovered in his own meditation, maybe he saw it. I guess that just as a technique, what's the value?
Well, the breath can also lead to a nimitta, but I did the breath meditation for 2 years prior to doing a visualization, and I felt that it accelerated my practice into nimitta. That's what I experienced.
Okay.
Because if we're trying, if the goal is to eventually experience the sign of a light sphere in our mind, we can start with an imagination of that, an image.
Okay.
And I that just was like putting the gas on the pedal. And
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
because
that makes sense. Makes sense.
for 2 years prior to having done the breath meditation, I never had an experience of a nimitta, not even any signs of nimitta. I didn't know about nimitta. And so I then learned about it and tried this technique. And to me, it definitely felt like an acceleration.
And Vajrayana, the Dzogchen practice, they're often saying, again, see the, I forget which deity, to dissolve into a light sphere. It's hard for me because it's so diffuse, but I hear what you're saying. If the object itself is, a visualization, an image, it allows more sort of single pointed focus into the actual object, because this white light, it just is all dispersed. And again, it seems amorphous, but I hear what you're saying in terms of being able to focus more directly into, it's like casino, the color casinos, or 24 or 48 body parts, whatever it is. I mean, it gives you a focus of attention.
You want to pick a size, like an egg yolk, the size of an
Okay.
egg, the size of a tennis ball, the size of a shot put. You want
Okay.
to choose the size that you're comfortable with.
Okay.
And so, so you're creating that form and you're
Yeah.
having that, yeah, that will help you
So-
to know that you have to gather and collect all of your attention and awareness within that round sphere, that
Gotcha.
you're imagining, rather than this diffused experience.
Great. That
That could
helps. Thank you.
happen. Yeah.
Hey,
Also,
Stephen, what's your question? Oh, sorry, Don. What were you gonna say?
no, it's okay. Go on.
Oh, so in the last retreat, I had the experience of, again, it happened. So I don't remember the exact sequence, but I was in a nature setting and I had an experience of moon coming in through my forehead, going down into my belly, and then that turned into the luminous sphere the size of a pearl, and it's never left. Is there
Mhm.
something new I need to do with that, or is that where I should launch from? Or
That's it. You have your image and you placed it at the center of your body, following the 7 bases of the mind. And now it doesn't move from that image. That is where you cultivate and develop your samadhi with that image.
yeah, it's kind of, I almost felt tears when I was talking about it. It's kind of shocking. It just yeah, and then isn't it also too that not with their eyes, but is that, maybe I'm getting ahead of things too, but to go into that so that I'm experiencing essentially from that place outward? I mean, we is that how it goes?
Actually, you don't try to expand it until
I didn't
you
mean expand it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You go ahead. Sorry. I want to
no,
listen.
sorry, can you please clarify what you meant? I didn't know if you meant you were trying to expand it.
I was not trying to expand it. I was saying bringing my conscious awareness to the center of that, not expand it, but just go there.
Yes, that's exactly correct. And like you think of the feather where you bring your awareness and you touch and you rest all of your awareness at the center of your body, bringing your mind home to the center to rest there.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much.
I think Kathy had a question.
I do. Hi.
Hi.
I use this little thing, this little crystal thing that hangs up. Okay. So when I try to drop it, I like to try to focus on dropping it down into my abdomen like it shows, but it makes my head hurt. I like the when it's weird, but when I'm focusing on this little ball and I drop it down, I like the feeling because I can block out everything else, but I get a headache. So, but if I try to relax, and I know that you're going to say relax, but when I relax, I lose my focus. Is that normal? Okay.
Yes, that's okay that you lose the image. You don't want to have a headache. It's very important not to have a headache. So just bring your awareness, your consciousness to the center and rest it there naturally and do nothing. You
Back on
can,
the ball. Back on
you
this.
can, you can try to imagine that, but if that was to give you a headache, we would say don't.
Oh, okay. Just dismiss the crystal ball. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
yeah.
rest at the center of the body, and be gentle. But
Same
away,
spot. I'm
so-
sorry. Same spot.
yeah, same
Do
spot.
okay. Okay.
But a thing you can do is a thing that you can consider or that you can try is a part of what's caused. There's two things that cause the headache. One is like you're visualizing at your eyes, or it's like you're using this area of your head
No.
to visualize.
Yep.
That's one thing that causes pain. And then the
Okay.
other is just intense focus in general that causes pain. So a thing that works is you can remember or think of the crystal sphere as if it was an object in a dream. You know, when you recall images or you recall scenes from dreams, you are not you're not like forcing that mental picture to show up.
Oh,
So if you approach the crystal sphere or the visual image that way, as if it were as if it was an object in a dream that you were looking at, it
okay.
really like takes the pressure off of your mind.
Yeah,
It
that
takes the pressure off of here.
feel that.
Yeah.
Even just I feel that. Just even saying that. Okay. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we start the guided? So I'll just talk for like 10 minutes in the guided, the relaxation, the favorite place, bringing you to the center of the body, choosing your object of meditation. Does everybody have their object of meditation chosen? Do they know which image they're going to use? Yep, you got it. Oh, we're ready to go?
Yeah, I think we're ready, right, everyone?
Okay, so the posture, sitting with your back and spine in an upright and alert position, although relaxed. And placing your right hand in the palm of your left hand, with the tip of your right index finger gently touching the tip of your left thumb, placing it in your lap. And closing your eyes gently and softly without pressing your eyelids together. Taking some deep breaths, inhaling fully and exhaling slowly. Just feeling into your entire sitting and breathing body, placing your full attention and awareness at the top of your head. Gently scanning down through your forehead. Relaxing the muscles around your eyes and in your eyelids. Softly scanning down through your cheeks, loosening up your jaw, and relaxing your lips. Imagining this feeling of relaxation flowing down through your neck and around your shoulders. Down through your upper arms. Softly scanning down through your lower arms. And into the palms of your hands. Relaxing your fingers. All the way to the tips of your fingers, relax. Softly moving your attention into your abdomen and relaxing the muscles in your stomach. Moving your awareness up into your chest, noticing your lungs expanding and contracting naturally as you breathe freely and easily. Allowing your awareness to move around your shoulders and down through your upper back. And imagining this feeling of relaxation flowing down through your lower back. Softly scanning down through your upper legs and relaxing your thighs. And around your knees. Gently moving your awareness down through your lower legs. And around your ankles. Gently scanning the soles of your feet. And relaxing your toes. Connecting with a relaxing feeling in your physical body. Imagining the feelings of relaxation touching and rejuvenating every single cell in your body from head to toe. And now imagine that you're sitting in your favorite place in nature. There's no one around you, just you in this beautiful place where you feel very safe and secure. You might find yourself walking along a beautiful beach, sitting in your favorite park, or walking in a forest. Wherever you imagine yourself to be, you notice that it's a beautiful day outside. The sky is very clear and a brilliant blue color. You can feel the warmth of the sun on your face and your body, and it feels good. And you notice birds flying by in the sky, coming into and out of your awareness, much like thoughts coming and going. You're just simply noticing. And you're really taking in different colors and shapes and objects in your favorite place, just noticing with your eyes all the things that you can see in your favorite place. And you pick something up with your hand and you touch it, and you can feel an item, a leaf or a stone, something that you can hold on to. And just noticing the texture and sense of touch. Really connecting with a sense of ease and contentment. Breathing in a feeling of peacefulness and ease. And releasing and letting go of your tension or worries, completely setting that aside and cherishing these precious moments we have to meditate together. And now gently placing your full attention and awareness at the center of your body, located 2 finger widths above your navel, in the center of your abdomen. And imagining gently an image in your mind at the center of your body, a star, sun, or full moon, bright and shiny crystal ball. Imagining that image there. And reciting to yourself the mantra, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang. And imagine hearing the mantra echoing and resonating from the center of your body. And now we'll practice in silence.